Hare Krishna, dear devotees, my humble obeisances to you all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all for joining His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Today we are continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam series of first canto, chapter 17, verse number 15. Hare Krishna. Today we are having His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj on our call today. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. You can please take over, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, Srimad 17th chapter, text number 15. It's a continuation with the discussion between, actually, Maharaj Parikshit asking questions to the personification of Dharma in the form of a bull, why he is in such a difficult situation being abused. And so the discussion continues. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Anaga Siva Bhuteshu. Yarangaskrin Nirankusaha. Ahartasmi Bhujam Shakshad. Amritya Swapi Sangadam. Translation. And so, after seeing the presence of the bull, the Maharaj Parikshit is explaining his position. An upstart living being who commits offenses by torturing those who are offenseless shall be directly uprooted by me, even though he be a denizen of heaven with armor and decorations. The denizens of the heavenly kingdom are called Amara, or deathless, due to their possessing a long lifespan far greater than that of the human being. For a human being who has only a maximum 100-year duration of life, a span of life spreading over millions of years is certainly considered to be deathless. For example, from the Bhagavad Gita, we learned that on Brahmaloka planet, the duration of one day is calculated to be 4,300,000 years times 1,000 solar years. Similarly, in other heavenly planets, one day is calculated to be 6 months on this planet. And the inhabitants get a life of 10 millions of years. Therefore, in all higher planets, since the span of life is far greater than that of the human being, the denizens are called deathless by imagination, although actually no one within the universe, material universe, is deathless. Maharaj Pariksit challenges even such denizens of heaven if they torture the offenseless. This means that the state executive head must be as strong as Maharaj Pariksit, so that he may be determined to punish the strongest offenders. It should be the principle of the state executive head that the offender of the codes of God is always punished. Is there more? Can't see if there's more. Okay. Om Gyan Timirandasya Ginajana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pasyatya Desanarne Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bevaja Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I just need your patience for about 1 minute and then I'll be right back. Hare Krishna. So time is calculated by a position within the creative universe. The higher you go in the universe, the slower time is. So like it says here, 1 day on this planet is 6 months. 6 months on this planet, I'm sorry, is 1 day in the heavenly realm. And if you go all the way up to Brahmaloka, you can see just, for example, 1 day is calculated by 4,300,000,000 solar years. There's a story where King Kumudi, it's in the Bhagavatam, he had a beautiful daughter, her name was Revati, and he wanted to get her married, but he didn't want to get her married with anybody on the earthly planet. So he decided to go to Lord Brahma to get his blessings and his guidance for choosing a suitable husband for his daughter Revati. And of course, it mentions actually he had a few very choice persons that he thought his daughter could marry. So when he got there, Brahma was engaged in a dramatic performance, and he had to wait a 1 minute. So he waited 1 minute, and Brahma came. And then he explained, he came along with his daughter, Revati. They both came to Brahmaloka. And he was a powerful king. She was a very chaste lady. And he explained, and Brahma said, well, all of the persons you may have thought about for a husband for your daughter are no longer living. There have been thousands and thousands of years passed on the earthly planets. So I can't really suggest anybody according to your choice. So then Brahma said, but actually, she is such a qualified person, she should get married to Lord Balaram. And so he arranged that marriage. And then, of course, Lord Balaram appeared as Lord Nityananda. And also, oh, no, actually, Balaram had two suitors, two wives. One was Kalindi and the other one was Revati. These are the two consorts of Lord Balaram, who appeared again in Lord Nityananda's pastimes as Janava and Visuddha. So they both appeared again. So then he wound up marrying his daughter to Lord Balaram. There's a story, I think, that she was very, very short, and Balaram was quite big. So it says that he actually grabbed her and pulled her up to his height, the same height. So here's an example of how time works. The time is like that. The higher you go, the slower time becomes. So it's interesting. And if you go to the lower planets from the earthly planets, the time is even slower on the lower planets. That's why people on the lower planets, they suffer tremendously because time is so slow there. Really slow. So that's a point of knowledge to understand how the calculations of lifespan are based on different levels of universal situation, like that. So that's used. Prabhupada wanted to make that point. But here, the essence is that Maharaj Pariksit is very adamant in his duty. Anyone who commits offenses to a fenceless person will have to be directly uprooted by me personally, no matter who he is, no matter where he's coming from. He is such a powerful king, and his duty becomes foremost, particularly in the protection of the innocent. Nowadays, so many innocent people, apparently innocent people, are subjected to many of the harassments that are coming on by society. For instance, I'll give you an example. In the United States alone, it is calculated that 15,000 people per month die because when they get sick, they go to the doctor for some cure and the doctor kills them by the cure. This is not some exaggeration or some conspiracy theory. This is a statistic which has been released by the National Food and Drug Administration in the United States, along with other medical agencies also. You get sick, you go to the doctor, and he kills you. How do you go, you know? So, you know, this is an example of how so-called innocent people are being exploited by a leadership in society that is not qualified to lead or to administer any type of protection, help, or guidance. People grow up in the family, and sometimes they're beaten, persecuted, harassed by their own parents, neglected. Another example, which is a very horrible statistic, is that people decide to have sex life, but they don't want no children. And so they take the way out of going to the doctor and asking the doctor to terminate the life of the unborn child. So that statistic is quite phenomenal worldwide, and some countries are really exceedingly high. For instance, it's mentioned that Russia is one of the highest in the world for abortions. The United States is very high. So all of these unborn babies, and they're already living, because as soon as there is conception in the womb, life begins. They have this false theory, which is really some speculation, that life begins at birth, or life begins in the 7th month of the pregnancy, they say. But it's proven that when conception begins, there is growth within the womb. So if there's how can there be growth if there's no life? There has to be life before there is growth. And so it's obvious that there is life at the time of conception. And then for 9 months, that life continues to develop. And Prabhupada explains it in very detail. It mentions it in the 4th canto, that the different holes of the body start to appear as the child develops in the womb. And by 7 months, the child is pretty much developed almost completely. And then in the last 2 months, it finishes its development, and then it's born after 9 months. But life begins at conception. So all of these unborn babies are being slaughtered by their own so-called parents, who do not want to take the responsibility of sex life. We would say, if you don't want children, don't have sex life. But people can't follow that. They want fulfill their desires for sex life. At the same time, if there is some child, and then they think, well, I just go to the doctor. And I met one abortionist in India, and this was years ago. I knew him about 20 years ago. He had committed 35,000 abortions. He hadn't happened to come to our temple. He got in contact with one of our devotees, and our hospital in Bhaktivedanta Hospital, and he started to practice Krishna consciousness. But everyone who was a spiritual master didn't want to have him for disciples, because you can imagine such karma would be thrown upon, most of that karma would be thrown upon the guru at the time of initiation. So yeah, these are examples of such, what we say, horrendous programs that simply dispense with life like it's just like you throw out trash. When you don't want trash, you just take it out of your home and throw it in the garbage can and finish, right? And so they treat babies, unborn babies, just like trash cans, garbage in the trash. So this is another example of torturing the offenseless. And but who is leading the society? Not anyone who is of the nature or even close to the nature of a person like Maharaj Pariksit, who could not tolerate anyone who would uproot or cause a offenseless person to be exploited. So where are such kings nowadays? We don't have these things. And therefore people don't get no protection. You can't walk the streets at night in most cities, big cities around the world, particularly in countries like the UK or in the countries, not so much the UK, something is there in certain areas, but particularly big cities like in America, no lady would go out late at night walking alone. Not possible. But I've seen in other countries in my own travels where it's a lot different. And I see ladies, they're walking at night and they're carefree and they're not worried about it because the crime level is not so, it's hardly at all in some areas of the world. But still there is crime. And so a leader has to he makes that the number one duty to give protection to those who require protection, as is mentioned, as we often have said, that women, children, old people, cows, and brahmanas are helpless. They need care and protection from the outside world. And those who are their protectors by designation, like women have their protectors, their husbands, their children, or their fathers, like that. If they fail to give protection to the women, they get responsible for sinful activity and have to suffer for lack of doing their duty. Same would, if children are not giving proper care by their parents, they are also punished by the laws of material nature. And old people think old people, well, they're useless. No need for them. They can't produce anything on society. All they do is sit around, collect some kind of remuneration so they can live. They live off everyone else's tax money. Just push them into old age homes, pay a little bit, and just forget about them. So there's these, and of course, cows, we don't have to even mention it. We've mentioned it so many times. How thousands and thousands of cows are killed daily in big countries all around the world. The number is phenomenal. And of course, Brahmins, no one even respects the Brahminical class. There is some respect in India, of course, that's still there. But not so much anywhere around the world. The priestly class have to struggle and survive on their own, like that. So yeah, it's just the way the Kali Yuga, everyone, there is no protection for the innocent, for the helpless. But they require, and that is the duty of their guardians, and that is the duty of the state as a general guardian for all living beings in the state, like that. Nowadays, if somebody's attacked, they don't even call the police anymore because they know the police can't do anything. They won't even come. Or sometimes they call the police come in there and they kill the innocent people who are involved with being attacked. And we heard of that also. They're not even trained to know how to do their duty to protect the innocent. And sometimes they just go wild and kill the wrong people. So that's there also. So this is a very difficult age to live in. Yeah. And of course, if you're a certain race and you're being exploited, you ask for protection, you get the opposite sometimes. But yeah, this is a very difficult time. So we want such persons as Maharaj Pariksit to come forward. And that's what our Krishna consciousness society is, to train devotees to take the position of leaders in the world where they can actually help the innocent persons and take administration posts and give protection to those who require protection and just in general. So that has, unless that's done, then there'll always be civility and chaos and incivility, chaos, and various other types of crime. Crime runs strong in many countries. Not even the authorities can effectively root it out. When Prabhupada was here, Prabhupada was traveling, and he was traveling from Dallas. He was going from Dallas to Chicago by airplane. And someone gave him a Time magazine on the airplane, and the cover said, "Crime, what crime, what to do, crime, why, and what to do. Why is there so much crime, and what can we do to uproot it?" Prabhupada read the article. And then when he got to Chicago, he arranged for his devotees to contact the local mayor, Mayor Daley at the time in Chicago. And Mayor Daley sent one police chief, for Lieutenant Mosey. He came to meet Srila Prabhupada. And he was interested to hear what Srila Prabhupada had said, "I have the solution for ridding crime within the society." So that became an interest, and they sent this police officer. And he came. You can hear it as a discussion. It's recorded between Prabhupada and Lieutenant Mosey. Lieutenant Mosey is very respectful of Srila Prabhupada. Very respectful, and he's asking questions. But he's bewildered by Srila Prabhupada's answers. Prabhupada said, "You just give us a building, a large enough building, and we will prepare prasadam, and we will invite everyone to come free of charge and take as much food as they want. And we will also have kirtan, and we will also give lectures. You give us this big building, and we will invite everyone to come to get free food." And Lieutenant Mosey was thinking, how was that going to rid the world of crime? But Prabhupada was pretty much saying that if we make people Krishna conscious, then there will be no crime. And they're thinking some kind of administration punishment. There's some kind of organization on a local level to enforce punishment by the various types of, programs or laws. But Prabhupada didn't go into that area because he knew this is what they've been doing and it's never going to stop. Just like it mentions in the 6th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, right after Maharaj Pariksit hears from Sukadeva Goswami about the 28 hells that are mentioned in the end of the 5th canto, he's astonished to see how the living entities are punished after the time of death for their sinful activities. They have to enter a particular type of hell and receive a body and then get punished according to the nature of their crime. And the punishments, as you read, are quite horrific. There's different levels of these punishments, all organized by Yamaraj along with his assistants, the Yamadutas. It's not some fictitious thing. some people think, well, it's all fictitious. Not. And there's many times that I have personal experience with people who are dying. And when they're dying, they're actually horrified and screaming. This is in the hospitals too. When they're dying, they're seeing the Yamadutas coming to take them away, and they're not such beautiful personalities. You can see their pictures are illustrated in the Bhagavatam. They're horrible features. They have big ropes, and they have various other means of securing the living entity's subtle body along with the soul and bringing it to Yamaraj. So it's not a fictitious thing. So when Maharaj Pariksit heard about these, he's thinking, isn't there any praschitya? Isn't there any, what we say, atonement for people? And Maharaj Pariksit is incredulous, asking the question. Then Sukadeva Goswami starts to answer in the very beginning of the 6th canto that punishment is never a form of atonement. Punishment is just a reaction for the sinful activities. Atonement comes when one takes up spiritual life. Why? For instance, the desire to commit sinful activities or even crime is rooted within the heart. In other words, it's there within the subtle body due to the association of the lower modes of material energy. And the living entity is suffering because of that. And so these desires are not uprooted. Just like, for instance, we do prison preaching. And the recidivism, there's a thing called recidivism. That means people who go to jail for some crime have to suffer in jail. They get out. The number is between 60 and 70% of those who come out again commit crimes and return to prison again. So you would think, well, going to prison is punishment. They learned a lesson. No, it's not like that. The desire is in the heart. Just like, for an example, we see this. People smoke cigarettes, and there's so much advertising and warnings that cigarette smoking causes cancer, lung cancer. In women, it can cause complications in pregnancies, emphysema. And they were putting this on the packages of the cigarettes, so people were reading it. And then recently, they decided to become more strong in their warnings, and they said, smoking kills. I've seen that on the packages. But still, people smoke. Why? Because they are attached. The attachment is so deep that any kind of punishment or warning, they dismiss because they want that so-called pleasure that they get from that. So how do you uproot or change a person? You have to change the heart. You can't change the mind. When the heart is changed, then the mind gradually becomes changed. Also, the heart is the seat of desires. The mind is the seat where the desires are enacted. The activity goes into the mind, but the desires are sitting in the heart. And so purification of the heart comes by the process of Krishna consciousness. Just like many of us, we may have some little attachment in this material world. We know it's not good for us, but we do it anyway. Like if we have a certain type of foodstuffs, we know it's not healthy to eat it, but we like it, so we eat it anyway, even at the expense of our health. Or something in this world that we know is not good, but still we do it because we're attached. That attachment is situated within the heart and can only be uprooted, as Sukadeva Goswami explains. You can't purify a wine-stained pot by adding wine to it. You have to clean it completely with another substance. And that other substance is bringing people to a higher consciousness. That's why when we preach in jails many times, we get people to practice Krishna consciousness. And when they come out, they're no longer inclined to commit any kind of crime. They're inclined to practice Krishna consciousness, at least on some level. So this is how it works. Otherwise, simple punishment is simply able to protect the innocent from being harassed by the torturers and upon, as we see here. But for the what we say perpetrator, they will continue to be like that until it is uprooted by higher consciousness. That's why Krishna consciousness is the only solution to all problems in the world, particularly the consciousness of offenses and the consciousness of material desires like that. So coming back to the essence of this particular text here, Maharaj Pariksit is getting very, very determined to know who is the cause of your suffering. I am here and I am ready to do the work of punishment. And so as these texts go on, you'll see it comes to a particular conclusion in a few verses that are upcoming. And then some of the most amazing statements come out as a solution. It's interesting, you'll hear how this discussion on suffering becomes such a polemic that no one can determine who is actually the cause of one's suffering. Is it material nature? Is it desire? Is it providence? What is it? What is the cause of suffering? It's a very interesting discussion. So stay tuned for these classes that are really, really deep in understanding what is the cause of suffering and how to become free from that, and how to react. This is also a very important part. How to react when one is put into a situation of suffering. That's also a very important thing. Okay, so we can stop here and we'll open it up for questions.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much. Such a wonderful class. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, I see already 2 raised hands. Please turn on your cameras if possible. Thank you so much. Ileana Mataji, you want to go ahead? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for a wonderful class. I have 2 questions. Sometimes it may happen that for our good, the spiritual master becomes harsh, and it is the disciple task to understand that harshness is one of the deepest and most powerful forms of love that will help us progress on the spiritual path.
Okay.
How do...
Uno momento.
Yeah. Okay.
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 Is that the question?
No, the question is how do the demigods torture other living beings it is possible to have an example? And the second question is
one question at a time. One question at
Yeah,
a time.
Mataji, Maharaj will take one question. First question, after that you can ask second one.
A first question is how do the demigods torture other living beings? Give an example is possible. And
Why
this is
why does the spiritual master become very strong in giving some chastisement, some correction? Is that the question?
No, this is not a question. It's a reminder when you speak about this verse. Remind me this concept. No, sometimes the spiritual master is very hard. No, and give a hard instruction, but this hard is for the good of the disciple, and is a very deep and most beautiful form of love, is a consideration, no? And the question is to demigods, no? The first question. The second question I have is this
No, first,
Mataji, we'll wait for the.
that's not a question. That's just you're just giving some understanding. So, that's not a question.
Maharaj, she is asking to give an example of the demigods torturing people.
Giving an example
Yeah.
of what?
Of the demigods torturing
other living entities.
other living entities. Yeah.
The demigods work under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when they give some, they are agents of the material energy also. So when people are sinful, they get a reaction through the material energy, and many times it's administered by the demigods. So there is a thing called Adidaivika. The Adidaivika means miseries that come from higher powers, such as excessive cold, excessive heat, various types of diseases. All of these are reactions to the sinful activities of the conditioned souls. They're not given just, when we say, automatically or without any reason. The punishment. Material energy does two things. If you're pious, you get material rewards. If you're impious, you get material suffering. So according to the activities of the living entity, under the influence of the material energy, they are punished and rewarded according to their activity. Yeah.
And the second question is
the demigods are not cruel, they're just doing it because they want to. And they work under the control. Sometimes Indra does something outside of his own, just like when he wanted to, his puja was stopped by Krishna when he wanted to take revenge. So he sent torrential rains into Vrindavan to torture the inhabitants of Vrindavan. But Krishna saved everyone, and at the same time corrected Indra from his wrong activity. So sometimes a powerful demigod will act independent, but that's rare. It doesn't happen often, but there is some examples like that. And the general thing is the demigods are instruments for your punishment or reward under the influence of the three modes of material nature.
Thank you so much.
Second question.
When you speak about the abort, the question is this: would you accept a sincere devotee who has committed such gross activities as abortion as your disciple? And because did you say who know what great karma the spiritual master takes when you talk
Well,
about this?
yeah, I was talking about that one doctor who committed 35,000 abortions. That was a doctor who did that work. He had a choice whether to do it or not, but he did it. And therefore, he built up all of this bad karma. But, I mean, if we look at the persons who come to Krishna consciousness and we look at the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagai, Madai, persons like that, people who are criminals, people who are have committed so many offenses in society, who are the lowest of the low, somehow, by the mercy of the spiritual master, they come to Krishna. They're accepted. They're allowed to perform Krishna conscious activities. They're not rejected as long as they sincerely follow the process. Yeah. So we, as a society, as representatives of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Karuna avatar, he is very merciful. Parama Karuna Bahadui Jani Nitai Goda Chanda Sabai Avatara Sarasira Mani Kevalayananda Kanda. They are so merciful. And Prabhupada even became emotional when he was talking about the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even those in the most lowest conditions, like we have examples of people who are in jail have committed so many murders, and then they come to Krishna consciousness. Take up. So yeah, as long as they are willing to change and follow the process, then they have a chance to rectify themselves and get free from the reactions of their sinful activities. The power of Krishna consciousness allows that whatever sinful activities you have performed previously, those reactions are destroyed by the power of your devotional service and by the mercy of the spiritual master, both combined.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Such nice.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Raj Prabhu, you have a question.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, Maharaj, and all glories to the devotees. Maharaj, in the translation of the verse, mentioned the torture of the offenseless. Are the tortures that happen in this world really to the offenseless? Is anyone really offenseless?
Stick around and you'll find out from the next few verses. Let's think we get into that. I mean, sometimes we speak like that, and sometimes even the acharyas speak like that, as you see here. But then again, from another perspective, there's a reason why whatever happens to a living entity, there's a reason for it. One may not see the reason. For instance, I'll give you the example of how karma works. Dhritarashtra, the blind king in the Mahabharata, he was supporting his sons in order against the Pandavas. And by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, there was the battle, Kurukshetra, and all of the sons of Dhritarashtra were killed. He had 100 sons. And he approached Krishna after the end of the battle, and he wanted to know why was he born blind? Because he was born blind. And why did all of his sons were killed? And Krishna answered the question directly. Krishna knows everything, past, present, and future. So he said, 50 lives ago, before, you were a hunter and you shot a flaming arrow into a nest of birds. There was 100 birds in the nest and they all died in the fire. And the mother bird was blinded by the fire. And so Dhritarashtra was amazed to hear the answer. And then he said, why 50 lives ago? And Krishna said, well, it took you 50 lives to build up enough good karma, because to have a son means that's an indication of good karma. Anytime a son is born, that means there's some good karma within the family there somewhere. So it took him 50 lives to build up enough good karma to have 100 sons. And then when he was ready, it cashed in and all of his sons were killed. So we use the example, if you build up a whole bunch of debts and you don't have any money to pay, sometimes the persons who you owe debts, they say, all right, you don't have money to pay, but you can pay it when you get the money. So the same way, karma is like that. If you can't pay back the karmic cash, karmic reactions, then as you go through life, you build up the credits or you commit more. And so everything is balanced out in the action-reaction program. We can't see that. Krishna doesn't discuss it anywhere. And Krishna says the laws of karma are so intricate you can't see. There was that one book that was very popular in the United States many, many years ago. It was on the bestseller list for the longest of any book. It was written by a rabbi. His name was Rabbi Kushner. He said, the book was called Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People? And the book explained his personal experience. He was a rabbi and he had a son who was born with this disease called progeria. Progeria is a very rare disease. You usually find it in Africa. I mean, it's not so much global. But his son had progeria, and therefore he died at the age of 14 of old age. And so progeria works that you go through your whole lifespan very quickly, fast. The deterioration of the body happens so fast that at 14 years, the boy died of old age. So he was shocked. And then he was thinking, well, I'm a rabbi, and here's a boy, he's innocent. Why is this happening? And then he didn't want to blame God for it. People like to blame God for whatever's happening. When something goes wrong, they blame God. When something goes right, they take the credit themselves. So he didn't want to blame God. So he wrote this book, Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People? And the conclusion and the discussion was in the book that God is all powerful. No, God is all good. God is all good. That's his, but he's not all powerful. That was the conclusion. So although he wants to help you, there's so many living entities all over the universe, he misses a few every once in a while. So he's not able to keep things in order. Somehow he's deficient in making sure everyone gets his care and protection. So that book was the bestseller. People, oh yeah, here's the answer. God is good. Yes, we know that God is good. Yes, but his power is powerful, but there's so much to do. He's overworked. He can't do it all. He somehow misses something here and there. Yeah, and so we wrote a response. And there's a response article that was done by Ravinder Swarup to that book. Bad things don't happen to good people. Bad things happen to bad people. So the thing is, you can't see what happens in previous lives. And sometimes the karma comes in the next life or even 2 or 3 lives later. Both good karma and bad karma. Sometimes people all of a sudden get some good fortune. they can't see how that good fortune manifested, but it did. Well, karma works like that. Like that. But Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that karma is temporary and can be destroyed by the power of devotional service. So when one seriously takes to the process of bhakti, then gradually they rid themselves of the reaction of their previous karma. And they get what is called spiritual karma. It's described in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as akarma. There is 3 kinds of karma. There's karma, vikarma, and akarma. Karma means pious activities, righteous activities, activities in the mode of goodness. Vikarma means sinful activities, activities in the mode of passion and ignorance. And akarma means devotional service, where there's no reactions for. So when you perform devotional service, you don't get a reaction on a material level for that activity. You do get you get benefit, you get uplifted in consciousness, and you get purified by devotional service, but it has no material reactions like that. And that requires much more discussion, because sometimes devotees wonder why they have to go through some kinds of sufferings. But that might be due to residual karma that is still there from their previous life that hasn't been completely destroyed by bhakti, because bhakti works gradually to ultimately to get to the point. The example is like a fan. If you have a fan and it's spinning around and it's plugged into a particular electrical socket, if you pull out the plug, the fan will keep spinning until all of the energy is dissipated. So when we come to devotional service, we may still carry a little bit of residual karma with us. But as time goes on, that all will be destroyed, and then one will be free from all karmic reactions and simply get the benefit of devotional service. That's all.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, I find that quite often something bad happens to me, but then I later discover that that bad thing actually saved me from something that would have been 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, that's Krishna's mercy. What appears to be bad is just your perception. Like you were scheduled to take a plane ride, and you got to the airport and you got there late, and they closed the gate already and the plane had taken off. And because of bad weather, you couldn't get there on time, or traffic. And you're thinking, oh, I missed my flight. And then the plane crashed. That happens sometimes. There's a story related to that also. One man was given a free ticket for a vacation somewhere in India. I think it was in Mangalore, to go by his friend. And he said, no, I'm not going to go. And then he didn't go. The ticket was free. He could have took it. He had the time too, but he just decided no. And then later on, that plane, when it was about to land in the runway, it missed the runway. It overshot the runway and crashed, and everybody on the plane died. I read about that. So that man, somehow or other, was inspired by Krishna in the heart not to take that plane flight. There's many examples like that. What appears to be bad later on turns out to be something life-saving, or even lessening that what would have happened if things went according to our own plans.
Yes, Maharaj, I have many examples from my life.
Right,
Like
Sri Devi?
oneness,
Sri
yeah.
Devi knows that better than anybody.
Yes.
You can write a book on that one.
Oh, yes, Gurudev. There's no doubt at all that Krishna is the best. He is most wonderful, most kind, most protective, most loving. Even when so-called bad, it's actually good. It's actually good. And you turn around and say, thank you, Krishna, afterwards.
But in the meantime, you're complaining to the spiritual master how bad everything is.
But I've stopped, Guru Maharaj. I've stopped, right? I've stopped. Of late, I haven't done that, have I? I've become a good girl. I don't do that anymore, do I?
No, you're reformed somewhat.
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm trying.
I'm saying thank you also.
Oh, Guru Maharaj, your lotus feet are my only good fortune in this material world. I have no other good fortune in this lifetime. None whatsoever. Only your lotus feet and your mercy. That's all.
All right. No more complaints. Continue.
Yeah, Sonal Mataji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, please accept my obeisances to you and all the devotees. Maharaj, I had this question since Nityananda Trayodashi. So I've heard in one of the quotes that Nityananda Prabhu is considered Guru Tattva. So I was a bit confused. How do we understand this Guru Tattva?
How do we understand Guru Tattva? Wow. We just had a whole discussion on that for hours here in Mayapur among the leaders. What is Guru Tattva? It's quite a kind of complex what is actually Guru Tattva. And still no one can come to a conclusion. There's so many dynamics to Guru Tattva. But in relationship to Nityananda, he is Balaram, Nityananda Balaram. There's no difference between Nityananda and Balaram. They're the same person in two different forms. So Balaram is he is the representative of Guru Tattva. So all of the gurus that take the position of guru in this material world, in the level, in the action of bhakti, are coming from Lord Balaram. So he is the original guru. That's illustrated in the pastimes of Krishna, where two demons were killed by Balaram. One was Dhenukasura and the other one was Palambasura. All of the other demons were killed by Krishna. And these two demons represent certain bad qualities that the living entity has. And the understanding of the connection with Balaram is that Guru gives the instructions. The living being, the disciple, has to carry it out and work to rid themselves of these two particular anarthas, the anarthas that are coming by these two demons. And that'll be explained. So when Krishna kills the demon, that anartha is destroyed by Krishna in the process of executing devotional service. So as you make advancement, you're ridding yourselves of these anarthas. Anarthas means things that are unwanted, things that block our devotional service. Ignorance of spiritual knowledge, activities that are pious but are against devotional service, activities that are impious, and offenses. These are 4 categories of anarthas. So these two demons represent these anarthas that the spiritual master gives you the instructions, the guidance, how to overcome them, and then you have to do the work. Where when Krishna kills the anarthas, that's by the power of your own bhakti in the execution of devotional service. So there's a difference between these two. And so the spiritual master is there to guide you, give you instructions, but you got to do the work. He's not going to do the work for you. He's going to give you all of the guidance. He's also going to pray for the mercy that you need to overcome these blocks in your spiritual life. And you pray to him also. But still, you have to make that effort. If you don't make the effort, then the results don't really come.
So, if I understand it correctly, so we have to go through Guru Tattva and clear our anarthas before reaching Krishna. Is it right?
Well, the practice of bhakti is stage by stage. Rupa Goswami explains 9 stages. So as you go from one stage to another, each progressively higher, you develop certain qualities that are conducive to Krishna consciousness. And as you're going through the stage, there is one stage called anartha nivritti, and that follows initiation. As soon as you get initiated, then the spiritual master works to help you overcome these anarthas. And when you get 75% of the anarthas destroyed, you move to the next stage of bhakti, which is called nishta. Nishta means fixed. Fixed means I'm not going to go away no matter what happens. I'm fixed in the process of devotional service. Happiness and distress do not disturb your execution of devotional service. That's the next stage. And only when 75% of the anarthas are destroyed can you reach the stage of nishta. And then, if you continue, then you reach the stage of ruchi, and then more and more of the anarthas are gradually destroyed until you come to the highest stage, which is prema. Up to the stage of prema, you can still commit offenses to Vaishnavas. And so that's where the danger is. In the higher stages, even though one is fixed in bhakti, they can fall because of offenses to Vaishnavas. Now, that's the most dangerous offense. And one has to be very careful to avoid offenses. Offenses to the holy name, offenses to Krishna, the deity form, offenses to the Vaishnavas, offenses to people in general. These are the higher, these are the anarthas that carry on to the higher stages of bhakti. But if you can reach nishta, you're fixed in your devotional service. And the guru helps you like that. So that guru is represented by Balaram and Nityananda. So we pray to Lord Nityananda and to our Lord Balaram, please give us spiritual strength. The name Balarama, Bala means strength and Rama means pleasure. One who takes pleasure in spiritual strength, not material strength. Some people wrongly interpret that as being that if you're strong physically, then you can do good in bhakti. There is a class of people who believe that physical, fitness is required for making progress in bhakti. But that's not what it means. It's spiritual strength. Spiritual strength comes by your strong sadhana and your service also.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yeah. Thank you. Interesting question.
Thank you, Mataji. Sridevi Mataji, can you go ahead, please?
Thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, on this question of abortion, we understand that taking a life is not the answer to the problems that happen in relationships. But as you know, I offer therapy to so many people. And in the course of my therapy, I've come across several ladies who have told me, I didn't want to do the abortion, but my boyfriend forced me, or my husband forced me. And what to do? I succumbed to pressure. I had no other person to go to. I was so ashamed of what was going on. And so I did the abortion. They feel very guilty. They feel very bad. And they, given a choice, probably they wouldn't have done it, but they succumb to pressure. In such a case where, the woman is so helpless, will she still have to suffer the reaction of doing that abortion?
Well, you might, somewhat the conclusion of your question is not complete. In the sense there is other avenues that one can get help and guidance from outside of the pressure that comes from family members and friends, so-called friends. So maybe they fail to take those other options which are available. They have these things even in the secular world, abortion hotlines, where women are in that stage and they get on these hotlines and they get advice on how to proceed. Still, they'll get it, even though they're forced into the situation, they'll get a reaction for that, for sure. And so also with the persons who forced them to do it also will get a big reaction also. So that reaction, I can't say how it's going to come or to what magnitude that reaction will be. It's hard to say. And material nature is not very compassionate. Material nature works very strongly for those who break the laws of material nature. That's Durga Devi. She rides on a trident. She carries her. She's riding on it. She carries a trident, and she's riding on the tiger. Then you have Mahakali, who has 16 arms with all kinds of weapons. But these are personifications of the punishments that manifest in the form of material reactions to sinful activities. So there's different degrees. Durga has only, 4 arms. Mahakali has 16 arms. There's more weapons, more tridents. In between, there's other Chandi and various manifestations of the cruel aspect of the material energy. But they're all working under their chaya. Chaya means shadow. They all work under the control of Krishna ultimately. Sristi stisti palaya sadeega chayeva vivati durga ichana rupa apasyasa sesatesa govindam aripurusham tamaham vijami. So don't play around with material nature. It's like fire. You can't, just like a child puts his hand in the fire and the fire will think, oh, it's only a child, I won't burn. Child apparently is innocent, but still the reaction will be there. Material energy is, you don't play around with material energy. You have to be very careful in dealing with this material energy.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yes, I understand. So there should be more awareness of the laws of God, and in ignorance, just ignorance is no excuse. One will still, but once one comes to Bhakti Yoga, Krishna says, one who surrenders to me, I cleanse him of all sinful reactions. And then we also have circumambulation of Tulsi Devi. She forgives us even for the sin of killing a Brahmana, performing abortion. So later on in life, when they become devotees and taking to the process of bhakti, there will be some mitigation of this offense of killing a child, isn't it?
Yeah, once you take the bhakti, and in the process, as I mentioned, pulling out the plug of the fan, gradually the karma starts to be removed. And then at one point it stops, depending on how much residual karma you come in with bhakti. Some of it's taken by the spiritual master at the time of initiation, but not all of it.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Maharaj, there is a question on chat by Kalakanti Mataji. I think you have answered partially her question, but again, I will ask her. So she is asking, the devotees who have done abortions before joining Krishna consciousness, do they still get the reactions after joining the Krishna consciousness?
Well, I explained the residual karma is there.
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you. Raj Prabhu, please, you have another question.
Yes, thank you. Maharaj, from my little understanding of karma, I was led to believe that one's consciousness and intentions carry more weight than the act itself. But then when you talked about the child putting the hand in the fire, I was unable to marry that with that example.
Intentions and carry more weight in bhakti, not outside, not in the material world. Because people's intentions, they may have good intentions, but if they act in the wrong way, they're going to get the reaction. And there's many stories Prabhupada tells in this regard. Because intentions have to be guided by intelligence. That's materially. Spiritually, because we are trying to serve Krishna, we may not be up to the standard of how best to serve, but you're trying, so Krishna will see that, and he will give you the reaction based on your intentions. But not in the material world, forget that. It's like Prabhupada tells the story of the young boy, he was living under the care of his mother. He was very young. And then the mother died. He was without any kind of parental shelter. So his auntie, she took care of him. But the boy was quite mischievous and he would do all kinds of things. When he was young, he was starting to steal. And then she wouldn't punish him. She wouldn't do anything to try to correct the boy. Her intention, as Prabhupada described, was she didn't want to go against the boy at all. She just wanted to care for him, allow him to do whatever he wants, and give him whatever he needs. She was just spoiling him, and his actions became more and more severe. At one point, he killed somebody, and then he was taken to court, and he was given a verdict of the death penalty by the judge. So his auntie was in the courtroom and she was crying. And then the boy said, he was a man at that time, he said, "Before you take me away, can I speak to my auntie?" The judge granted that. So he went over to his auntie and he was like whispering, he was going to whisper something in her ear, but he didn't. Came really close and he bit her on the ear so hard that she jumped back. It was very painful. And then he spoke to her. He said, "Now you're crying. It's too late. Why didn't you teach me what was right when I was young?" So, yeah, so she spoiled him, let him do anything he wanted, which caused him to suffer and commit crimes and suffer, and then he lost his life after killing someone. So this auntie was thinking, oh, I just want to give all kinds of care to my nephew like that. He's all alone, his parents are gone. But she was misguided. She didn't know how to take care of the boy. Good intentions, but wrongly applied. You have to know what's right. Excuse me, but I'll make a little statement. This is a rock and roll song that I grew up with. It was by the Rolling Stones. I think it was No, maybe it was by another group, not the Rolling Stones, maybe Jethro Tull or something. I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood. The other, yeah, my intentions are good, but they may be misunderstood. They may be done in the wrong way. The good intentions are not enough. You have to know what's right. That's why we have our books. We have our teachers. We have our discussions. This knowledge frees you from the reactions of wrong activities and the sufferings that come by way of them. Read the books. Understand the process. Your material education is not going to get you through devotional service. You have to get spiritual education. Otherwise, you can't, no matter how qualified you are in the material world, it doesn't make you qualified for Krishna consciousness. Qualification for Krishna consciousness is the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master as you make an effort to follow the process of bhakti. And part of that mercy is, hey, we got so many books. These books were not meant just for selling. They're meant for education of the participants in the devotional arena. Read, study, understand, learn how to apply. This is all part of our growth in spiritual life. Today, we just had a graduation of the MI, Mayapur Institute. I was there, and many of the leaders came, and it was all of the students that graduated. We spoke for about 4 hours, the importance of spiritual education, the benefits of it, how to use it. It's not simply getting some type of degree or some certificate. The certificates and the degree are useless. And what is important is now that you're on the path, continue, learn more, understand, apply, understand how to execute devotional service and how to avoid, and this is very important, how to avoid the pitfalls of living in this material world, which trap us again into material activities because of our ignorance of spiritual knowledge. Because Maya's always there. She's going to try to attract you. She's going to try to divert you. But if you're fixed in knowledge, you won't get caught by Maya. Okay, Sri Devi, does that answer your question? I maybe over-answered it, but I think it's important to understand what is real knowledge and what it goes on as knowledge, but it's just some sentiment, even if it's good intentions.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, I have to leave now. We came for Houston for a retreat here. So sorry about that, and my apologies. I'll make Sridevi Mataji as host, and she will handle the call now.
We have one more
Bhikkhu
question.
Prabhuji. Yeah.
Can you stay for the last question? And we can
Yeah,
close
one
the
more
call?
question on chat too, Maharaj. So that's why I thought, okay.
We have Bhikkhu. He also has his hand
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Please go ahead, Bhikkhu Prabhuji. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Please accept my Dandavat Pranams. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I won't take your time, Maharaj. I've heard it's an interesting, very good class. Lot of disturbing news about the problem of protection or lack of protection for the offenseless. We are fortunate to be in Krishna consciousness. My question is simply, I heard the power of Parikshit Maharaj. Wish we had more strong leaders like Parikshit Maharaj. But the question is, did he have the powers to even act to people who are Amar or say deathless. That's a bit of puzzle. Perhaps you can kindly advise.
Your question is, did Srila Prabhupada, can you just summarize your question in a few words?
The question again, Maharaj, is what I heard that Parikshit Maharaj could even punish people who are in another spiritual world or planets, and he had the power to even punish the people who are kind of in spiritual world or with
No.
longer.
Not like that. He just says, even if he's a denizen coming with armor and decorated, still he cannot commit any offenses as long as I am the ruler here. No, he's talking about that level. He's not talking about the higher realms. He doesn't have the jurisdiction. He's in his kingdom. But even if a denizen from heaven comes to the earthly planet and they start committing the wrong activities, then that's his jurisdiction. He's talking about his area, not outside.
That helps. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare-
Okay, thank you very much.
Maharaj, there is a question on chat by Sakshi Mataji. She's asking, on the soul level, we are aware such and such things are not right, but still the mind does not get convinced. Example, we know scriptures are true, still the mind creates doubts. How not to listen to the misleading mind?
Just don't do it. Just don't listen to it. You check the mind with Guru Shadow Shastra. You check the mind with, is the mind telling me what the spiritual master says or something different, something opposite? Learn how to, if you don't know the reference, then you'll believe your mind. That's why we're saying we have to learn this knowledge in a practical application. Otherwise, the mind will tell you whatever it wants to tell you. The mind is not controlled. And then it says there are enemies, but there is one very dangerous enemy, and that's called the uncontrolled mind. That's the greatest enemy. So control the mind by higher powers, by higher knowledge, not by what appears to be something that comes by way of my thought process. Mind will come up with anything and everything, the most abominable, useless, soul-killing ideas. Don't listen to the mind. There's a whole series of lectures by Srila Prabhupada. I would suggest you listen to these lectures. It's 5th canto, 6th chapter, verses 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you can read the verses also because they're all about the mind. And then, if you read, then Prabhupada has given a class on each one of them. He's expanded on each one of these verses, in addition to giving his purports. I have recorded that section separately as a separate entity, and I listen to it occasionally just to be reminded. Very powerful series of lectures about the mind. And one of the first statements that Prabhupada makes in the first lecture, he says, never trust your mind. Always distrust. And then he says, where that is coming from, we have no reference, but we know it is true because the acharyas have said it. Never trust your mind.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for such a wonderful, nice questions.
Bhakti Siddhanta used to say, what would he say? He would say, don't make friends with the mind. It'll cheat you at any time. Therefore, you have to control the mind by higher knowledge. Therefore, devotee is called Shastra Chakshu. Chakshu means to see, vision. Shastra means see through the eye of scripture, see through the eye of knowledge, see through the eye of guru. That's how we apply knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
They would also say your mind is the greatest enemy. You read that whole section in the 5th canto. There's a lot on the mind in the 5th canto. It's really quite detailed. And there's many lectures by Prabhupada. Also in Krishna speaks about the mind in the 11th canto, 20th chapter. That's a very interesting. I mean, when Krishna speaks about it, it's really amazing. It's interesting. So yeah, there's a lot of statements throughout the Bhagavatam about the mind. That's the guy that gets us in trouble. Just like it says, one should elevate themselves by the mind and not degrade themselves. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and the enemy as well. When Prahlad Maharaj was being harassed by his father, and his father said, "You're siding with my enemy. Vishnu's my enemy." And Prahlad Maharaj said, "My dear father, your only enemy is your own mind." He told him that. The mind will tell us one thing one day, the next day it'll tell us the opposite. One day we like somebody, next day we don't like them. The next day after that, we like them again. The flickering mind, the rumbling mind. The mind is like a barrel of monkeys that just jumps around all the time.
Thank you so much, Neil.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you once again. Thank you, devotees, for participating in such a nice discussion. And we can end the call here. Sorry, I'm just rushing. Sorry. We can meet again tomorrow. If Maharaj is available, Maharaj can give class tomorrow.
It's
Thank
day
you.
by day. I'll let you know tomorrow.
Sure, good. Sure, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much for today.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj ki jai. Thank you.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.